Right, we'll now proceed with the debate. Invite Councillor Eales to... well, there he is. Councillor Eales to move the motion.
Okay. Thank you, Mr Chairman. It's with great pleasure that I move the motion as the County Councillor for Darlington Spencer. A motion that at the 11th hour, I understand, was attempted to be ruled out of order, but I'm grateful that common sense prevailed in the end. As you've heard from the public addresses, there is quite a lot of concern about the proposition of a waste-to-energy plant or gasification incinerator in St James, Northampton, which is a huge issue and will be a huge building in the heart of a residential area. As such, extraordinary measures need to be taken to ensure a plant has the support of the public, the very people that elect us to do the jobs that we do, and we must remember that here today. This motion is not about this council setting a policy of opposition to gasification. This motion is not about waste disposal. This motion is not about recycled waste. This motion is not about traffic congestion. This motion is not about pollution. These are all, of course, serious matters that are connected to this plant, should it be built, which is why the approach to the issue needs to be appropriate to consider them all effectively. This motion is about asking the developer, Cllr, to establish a proper consultation with the public in the form of a referendum ahead of any planning decision by the Development Control Committee, at which time all the issues and concerns can be addressed and considered. We need to fully inform the public of the facts and for them to have a real voice into the decision as to whether they support this plant being built. The normal bog-standard form of NCC consultation is not sufficient in this case, and I hope most people in this room will recognise that. To date, there has been adequate public consultation and information sharing with the public, something which Northampton Borough Council's Conservative-run Cabinet, to their credit, recognised last week and removed an agenda item from its meeting which would have given, in principle, lease arrangements to the developers. NBC have instead requested that the developers undertake public consultation before proceeding any further. Well, Mr Chairman, what better form of consultation than a referendum? And I hope my Conservative Borough Council colleagues, or at least the two of them that are still in the room today, will be mindful before voting today as to the position of their Cabinet over the road and the rising tide of concern from the public in Northampton, some of which may well be your electorate. The motion suggests that any residents living within no less than a 1.5-mile radius should form part of this referendum, but myself and community groups are quite happy for the catchment area to be extended if needed. The 1.5-mile radius is simply a minimum area encapsulating what could be regarded as those residents that would perhaps be most affected by this humongous plant. The finer details can be established via dialogue upon acceptance of the principle of a referendum. What I want members to consider is how would your constituents feel if such a plant was proposed to be built in your own divisions? Mr Chairman, how about the people of Geddington? How would they feel? To the leader, how about Joe and Joan Public of Oundle? What about Weedon, Deanshanger, Hackleton? I think the people of those divisions would feel exactly the same as the people of St James, Spencer, Darlington, Kings Heath and other parts of Northampton, so we should do the open and democratic thing and ask the developers to up their game, properly engage with residents, promote what are the so-called benefits of such a plant and let public opinion guide us. If this technology is so safe and the benefits so great, then what has anyone to fear from a referendum? As I'm given to understand it, if you believe the quotes attributed to Alderman Binley, NCC has the potential to save £89 million a year in landfill tax. Well, then it would seem to me that this administration has 89 million reasons to either support this motion and allow the people to have their say, or reject this motion, railroad the plans through at a later date. What's it going to be? There has been much talk about a so-called community interest company. Well, my view, first of all, let's see if the community are interested, but it sounds very much like a self-interest company. In connection, Alderman Binley, who I referenced earlier on...
You've got one more minute, and can you stick to the context of the question, please, and not bring personalities into this?
No, it's not a question, it's a motion, Mr Chairman. In connection, Alderman Binley, who has been...
Can you not bring personalities into this? We're not having personalities mentioned in this debate. It's drawing attention to it. Then it's not.
Okay. In connection, Alderman Binley, who's been the main cheerleader for Cllr, his approach has been outrageous and complacent today, although I was touched by his voicemail offering to take me for a pint to discuss issues. But in all seriousness, if the developers wanted a frontman to sell this venture, then boy did they back the wrong horse. Cllr, as did the Member of Parliament for Northampton South, who sadly can't be with us this afternoon by the looks of it, stated, if the people of St James don't want this plant, we won't go to war with them. Well, let's hold them to that statement. We can do that today by passing this motion, or alternatively, this council can focus on pure self-interest and you can go to war with the people of St James, Spencer, Darlington and Northampton. Over to you.
I think councillors should be very cautious of talking in any form at all about any particular interests, one way or the other, that members of the council or the council as a whole have in this. I think this is the concern I have when Mr Gould made that comment, and I'm very disappointed to hear the proposer talking in that way. I think we've got to be really, really careful.
Mr Chairman,
we're moving on there
Mr Chairman, then perhaps you're right to Alderman Binley, because it was actually quotes that he made in the press.
Moving on now to Councillor McGee to second the motion.